If you're like myself and many others, you might have made a face like this after seeing some clips of the new skate game. I think my immediate gut reaction was something along the lines of, why does it look like that? Who asked for this? Up until recently, my perspective on the game had only been through watching the playtest highlights and boardroom episodes posted on the Skate channel. It wasn't until I was finally able to get my hands on the game this past month that I could finally start piecing together what irked me so much about the game. I want to preface this by saying I don't want the game to be horrible. In fact, I don't think the game is horrible right now, but I think most of you can agree to the fact that it's pretty underwhelming. As I mentioned before, I was never fortunate enough to get access to the playtests in the last 3 or 4 years, however long they've had them open. I didn't get access to the game until early July, when they gave out invites to everyone who had RSVP'd. I ended up not really playing until the tail end of July, after they had announced the official date for early access, and some of my friends were interested in playing with me. So, we booted up the game and we got to it. The intended gameplay loop is incredibly simple. You do challenges, you get currency and XP, you use the currency to open boxes, you get items and XP from opening boxes. Rinse and repeat. Obviously, I'm dumbing it down a little bit, but there's little to no substance to it. I think the shallowness of this system could be excused if the challenges were interesting or the rewards were cool, but they're just not. Currently, there's 4 types of challenges: line, stunt, session, and on the spot. Session challenges aren't anything super special, but they're fine. You just skate in an area until you've gotten enough points, done enough grinds, manualed enough manual pads, whatever the goals are that they ask you for. Think like the old street contests in Skate 3, but a little just less interesting, I guess. They're nothing special, but they aren't offensive either. Line challenges tend to be pretty bad. You follow a line, collect bearings, do tricks on certain highlighted obstacles. Usually somewhere in the middle of this line, there's a random jump or grind that you miss, and then you have to redo the whole thing because you have to complete it in one straight line. I wouldn't be as bothered by this if they did a better job at preparing the players for what obstacles they have to skate, by either improving the cutscenes.
I don't know who came up with this one, but get ready to get your line on.
Bringing back the old arrows on the ground, or using the AR line, the feature that shows you exactly where to go, but whatever. I also think it's worth mentioning that some of the line challenges have 36 checkpoints. On the spot challenges tend to vary. Some of them are on a bit more of an interesting spot, they give you a bit more of a challenging goal, but most of them are so easy that the waiting for players screen can take longer than the actual challenge.
It's just a grind? I'm gonna kill myself.
It's kind of really unclear. You know, most of them are, do this in one sequence is one of the goals, right? Which is fine. That's perfectly fine for that to be one of the goals. And then the other thing that's strange about them is that, you don't have to do everything on the highlighted area, and that's weird. This one, a friend of mine got stuck on for a while because he was trying to do this front shove to grind on this obstacle, and it wasn't working. So I don't know. I think that they need to find a way to separate them better, explain it better. And also, if that rail down there is intended to be used, then they should explain that, That rail should be highlighted too. Stunt challenges. I'm a bit conflicted on how to feel about these. On paper, they're the best of the 4 categories. The challenges are in unique locations and, generally speaking, are things that are fun to do. They're designed to flex and train all the new mechanics in the game, like the new bail mechanics, skydiving, cavemanning from a skydive, etc. They very heavily lean into the arcadey side of the game, which some people may draw an issue with. I personally just find them confusing, and that's largely due to the goals of them being kind of mixed. A lot of times, to even start the challenge, you have to land a gap. Sometimes they want you to do a manual. Sometimes they want you to bail into objects. Sometimes there's nothing to do with bailing at all. And all of this ties into the biggest issue that the game has. It has no identity. Every challenge has some random sweeping shot, which to me feel like they just have a couple presets they choose from at random, and the AI woman says some generic vocal line like,
This line challenge is pretty low-key. I'm thinking you'll crush it.
yes, this cutscene system gets the job done. EA was able to check the quote-unquote cutscenes in the game box, but it doesn't achieve anything further than that. I think part of what made a lot of places in the old games have character was the association that got developed with the missions that took place at these spots. I'll forever think of the spillway area in Skate 2 as the spot where I lost my mind against Eric Costin and Mike Carroll as an 8-year-old child.
What's up, Eric? What's up, Mike? What are you guys doing? Playing skate?
Oh, God.
I'll always remember the first couple photo challenges in Chan Center, mostly because I would do them over and over again on the demo. In Skate 4, you don't get that magic. There is no Eric Costin or Mike Carroll. There's no Atiba. There's no anyone. The best that we get is Sean Malto with no body.
On Rumble Premium. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. I'm Paul Zitzer, along with Sean Malto. But Sean, it's a brand new
EA Skate game.
What are your hopes, expectations?
I mean, we're here.
The lack of any real interaction is just one part of what makes the game feel so generic. What's just as bad are the rewards. I think all of us knew going into this that a free-to-play skate title is going to be filled with a whole bunch of bullshit.
That's all great, but you guys probably know what I'm about to ask you. Will there be microtransactions in the game?
Yes. We knew that to support a never-ending, ever-evolving, free-to-play world of skate, we'd have to look into different models for the game itself, which means that there will be microtransactions. And we know that this is a sensitive subject. That's why when we decided to explore this model, we made some hard ground rules to follow. The first one is that skate is not pay to win. There are no areas of gameplay or the map that you have to pay to unlock. There won't be any loot boxes, and there's no gameplay altering advantages that you can pay for as well. And it doesn't mean that you get some watered down skate either. This is gonna be an authentic, bigger than ever game for the fans.
Here's 20 different grip tape patterns, 35 different deck stickers, 45 different prop items. I would care a lot less about the game being inflated with a ton of random, generic, meaningless items if there was more available that actually made the game feel like real life. So, I just want to make the point that I've been playing this game a lot for the last 3 to 4 days. I've probably played 12 hours or so. And this is the only piece of real clothing that I have in my locker are these Vans. Everything else is generic Amazon brand EA slop. Even my deck. I don't even have a real deck yet. I have this deck. I'm fine with this one for now, I guess. I mean, I at least know that this deck exists in real life. I still don't really like it, but how is this supposed to be a game for skateboarding when it's impossible to get any of the stuff from skateboarding companies? I'm sure as time goes on and the cosmetic spiral more and more out of control, this will be a section of the video I look back on and regret. But in its current state, I'm very disappointed by pretty much every single aspect of character customization.
Like, I don't want to look like anybody else.
How are we meant to not look like everyone else when there's only 18 hairstyles in the game and every single one of them look like they're made of Play-Doh? Art style aside, the game can be fun. The rework for popping off of grinds is nice and can allow for some really creative combos, although it is worth mentioning that it's pretty buggy sometimes. The redone flip trick animations all look really great. I really enjoy the new flick it controls, where your flick speed affects how fast your trick actually flips. I like that you can hold flip tricks for as long as you want. And I think that's one of the main new features that actually can appeal to everyone. If you want to hit a realistic line where you do a 720 flip Jeff Cesare style, you can. If you want to jump off of a tower and do a sextuple kickflip 540, you can do that too. But there's an unfortunate amount of issues in the core gameplay, even after all this time in development and playtesting, that I really would have hoped had been sorted out.
And that's why we're focusing on gameplay first, not art and not visuals. You know we need to land the foundation of the game and make sure it's solid before we move on to those things. So, you know,
if we were focusing on gameplay first, why does Vert still feel like that? Pumping hardly works. Getting into a grind on coping is even worse than the old games, which was a problem notoriously complained about. And that's just the pool aspect of Vert. But if you try to skate a mega ramp, it literally feels like you're playing steep. Watch the way I do this flip right here. This is what I mean that it feels like steep. It's just the way that you like control your body rotations in this game is just so odd. It doesn't feel like a skateboarding game. It feels like a snowboarding game. And unfortunately, grab animations have suffered a very different fate than flip tricks. I think almost every single one of the advanced grab tricks look worse than they did in the old games.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Everything in the game just feels so slippery. While it's cool that they're expanding the late flip system in the game, in their current state, they feel so damn clunky. It's frustrating because the game gives you these tools to get way more creative with your lines, and then the tools just don't really work that well. I understand that this is only the very beginning of what this game will be, and while it may not sound like it, I honestly am excited for the future of it. The Skate series are my favorite games of all time, and I've met some of my best friends ever thanks to it. But it's hard to remain as excited as I once was when this is where we are 4 years later, with the Skate Pass coming out before the fucking replay editor, and new game modes not even coming out until 2026. I know that as time passes, they'll fix some things. Late flips will get improved, grabs will look better, the game will play better. But will I ever be able to log on to the game and not feel like my character's soul was stolen from his body? Are they ever going to fix how hollow the world feels? Will this game ever actually have an identity?